I guess the most important thing to point out about the overall #1 seed in the Song of Summer World Cup is how much they don't sound like they're from the place that they're actually from. I mean, look, I'm not asking for this. Or this. But even 3 years ago, when we felt a seismic shake from down under, you could at least tell this dude wasn't from Akron, you know? He was from somewhere else. Somewhere unique. Somewhere different. This isn't going to be about fetishizing otherness. Canada's my underdog fave, and there's no identifiable Canadian sound. I just want to point out that it's odd seeing the pop charts invaded by Australians, but feeling the effect of that only as a biographical fact. Did you know Amethyst Amelia Kelly is from Mullumbimby, New South Wales? Kind of like that. Listen to the music, and it sounds like we're enamored with an Atlantan, and a Barbadan, and the guys who practice in the garage over on the cul-de-sac near where you live. I like to think if I heard this, or this, or this, I'd be able to peg them as at least British-ish. But this? It's an invasion, but it's a silent one. In the case of Iggy Iggs, that's a fairly conscious decision. Iggy Azalea does not sound like she's from Mullumbimby. Okay, well, here she does.
On my tour, I'm only doing like 2,000 seaters, but I still have to have barriers, even if it's like 200 people, because people try to finger me.
Also, what? No. People. No. Ugh. But when she's performing, and considering the effort she made to leave New South Wales behind, which was considerable, let's guess that her adoption of another identity, that of a southern rapper, and not a new southern Walesian rapper, is not unintentional. I still think she sounds like a combination of Kesha and Rebel Wilson in Pitch Perfect, but I'm coming at it from a perspective of always having known that Iggy is white, since this was my first exposure to #1 hit, Fancy.
I'm working on my bin here with some change to throw. It's Iggy Azalea, and she's white.
For many, she's gonna sneak under the radar as, let's be honest, an African-American female until her cultural profile grows so large that everyone becomes aware of her beyond her music. Which, that saturation point is coming very soon at the rate that Iggy is ascending into the pop stratosphere. The first thing we'll be looking at as we reward points in the Song of Summer group stage is cultural impact. The easiest way to describe the scale would be to say that a 0 doesn't move the needle at all. The world shrugs. And a 7 is Iggy Azalea today. An all-encompassing media obsession with a #1 hit that checks every summer hit box. And a guest verse on a #2 hit that somehow sounds even more like summer. It's not interesting or worthwhile to debate Iggy's cultural impact. It exists. And it's huge. Huge. It's much more interesting to ask why she has such an impact. Why Azalea, of all people, is one of 5-ish females to ever top the Billboard chart by rapping. Which brings us to our second metric. Value over replacement artists. The basic outline for this comes from baseball, where value over replacement player measures what effect replacing the measured player with a completely average replacement would have on the team. In this case, we'll use a 14-point scale to determine what effect replacing the measured artist with a completely average toiler in that given genre would do to the summer as a whole. So, artists like the Beatles and Kanye West would earn 7s. Rebecca Black would earn a -7. If Iggy Azalea were to receive a 0 in VORA, she would be completely interchangeable with any other female rapper. many would give her that 0. Reviews for Iggy's debut album have, in contrast to her boasts about her flow being retarded, rendering each beat dearly departed, reviews have called her rapping labored and clearly studied. You can hear the work she puts into it. Just about everyone who talks about Iggy takes issue with her assertion that she is, in fact, the realist. While rapping in an adopted accent, though considering the influence of American rappers worldwide, likely the one she and millions of people have been rapping in for much of their lives, is undoubtedly a performance. It's a performance, yes, a conscious put-on. Can we grant the woman this, though? She's put a lot of work into that put-on. As ridiculous as it is to assert that a white woman who looks like Iggy Azalea is an underdog, she's worked from the bottom of a totem pole, started from the bottom, now she here. She's likely faced many people who likely laughed her off for being white, Australian, or both, especially potentially for being a female, faced many others who likely saw nothing beneath her looks, and she's worked her ass off to put together a burgeoning empire. Do I think her personality is, at this point, as fully formed as Kanye or Nicki Minaj? No. But it certainly doesn't sound like she's unable to rap to the fullest of her abilities because she's spending most of her energy keeping up some minstrel facade. Even with her video for Fancy, which Complex called a BuzzFeed post in music video form, which fair, you know, it seems like Iggy isn't getting enough credit for thinking her identity through and putting something worthwhile and personal in the world. Maybe someone came up to her and said a clueless pastiche would get millions of views, as it has. Maybe she loved the movie as a kid, and that's just that.
So, okay, like right now, for example, the Haitians need to come to America. But some people are all, what about the strain on our resources?
But let's not forget whose identity Iggy is literally trying on in this video. In the most iconic moment in the music video, where Iggy asserts her realness at the outset, it's during the Haitian speech, showing just how far our girl, our hero, is from cultures other than her own, but also that she's inherently compassionate. I mean, Cher Horowitz is a privileged white girl who should, by all accounts, be a laughingstock in our eyes. But the reason that film has endured to this day, to where it merits so many BuzzFeed articles, is the depth that Alicia Silverstone and Amy Heckerling afforded that character. There's more than meets the eye there, even if what meets the eye is indeed pretty and blonde. On record, without all this baggage, Iggy has some quirks that set her apart. She does this a lot, for instance. But that, specifically that, can also make her sort of irritating. Not anyone could step into her shoes, but she's not irreplaceable yet, so in VORA, Iggy gets a 3. We'll have more time to discuss... Whew, boy, I really don't want to call them a boy band. Boy band 5 Seconds of Summer in the next round once Australia inevitably advances. These 4 teens have had a tremendous impact overseas, and radio is eating them up. But, unjustifiably in my eyes, they haven't turned the dial a huge amount on the charts, giving them a cultural impact score of 4 out of 7. It's unjustifiable because their music is supremely listenable, interesting, fun. It's much more My Chemical Romance than it is Backstreet Boys. Seeing as how they're viewed to this point as interchangeable with Brixton and are still considered sub One Direction, we'll list their VORA as 2. I think there's more to them than that, and that replacing them with just any boy band lineup would be a huge hit to the summer, actually, but they have yet to actually prove that. One place that 5 Seconds of Summer does pay huge dividends is in the third metric, listenability. Put all the songs in consideration on the playlist and then ask, how much do I actually want to listen to this? Sunny day, poolside, burgers, do I want to hear this thing? 6 or 7, we're talking crank that playlist. 0 to 2, we're probably going to throw that iPod in the pool. Australia pulls in a monster 6 in listenability. Iggy has been on top for many weeks, a testament to something elemental and enjoyable about her collaborations with both Charli XCX and Ariana Grande. But it's 5 Seconds of Summer that really keep bringing me back to Shuffle Play on my Aussie Summer Mix. So we'll see how the Aussies, the Popperoos, maybe it'll catch on, fare against other teams in the next episode. Every team will face off once in Cultural Impact, once in VORA, and once in Listenability. So the group stage will feature a total of 9 matches that could end in wins, losses, or ties for each team. The top 2 teams in each group advance. So next time we'll take a look at South Korea, which means Psy, which means we're going to be dealing with a wicked hangover.